War. War never changes.
My hands are
Welcome.
massive.
What? Your hands are assy?
It said massive.
Welcome to War Never... No, I'm not cutting that.
I'm sorry, I thought we were still in the quiet period.
No, We're going, baby. Welcome to War Never Changes, the weekly podcast about Phil's hands. I am joined by none other than 50 cal himself, Phil McCracken, with his massive hands, his Yoda shirt. Horrible timing. When I went like this, that meant like, let's go, like, let's do it. And then I don't know what happened, but at some point, because I can't see you when I start the show because my screen just covers, because I'm looking at the War Never Changes and I see the splash screen. And then I see I see that the line at the bottom, you're moving, you're saying something, but I can't hear it. And I have massive hands. It's like, that's a great way to start the show. My name's Jim, by the way, but who cares about me? The real star of the show is a Law and Order there, connected to Phil's gargantuan arms, his tree trunk arms. Every week, we need to have a fun Phil fact. Last week, we learned about your height. This week, we learned about your massive hands.
Bro, you shook my hand on the cruise. My hand wrapped around your hand.
I don't remember. I mean, you're a big guy. I know that you're tall, but I don't remember. Yeah. I don't just.
You were not a memorable handshake for me either.
I don't remember. I don't specifically remember your hand. When I think back, I'm like, what do I think of Phil? Ah, yes, he had large hands. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. This concludes the podcast.
Dude, we have nothing to talk about, and that just ate up 4 minutes. So really, I did us a favor.
The 2 minutes and 17 seconds are in the books. Thank you. We got 57 plus minutes to go. But we do have some things to talk about this week, believe it or not. And first and foremost, thank you, everybody who has been watching. Our channel count has increased. The views have increased. The comments have increased. So appreciate all of them. It's good. There's been a lot of talk this week. Where I want to start is on Cyberpunk. So we know, and if you don't know, you do know now, that Phil was gifted an awesome Xbox One X with the Cyberpunk game, you know, the branded console, the branded controller, all this wonderful stuff. And finally, it prompted you to download it today. Is that what happened, or did you just go hunting and find it?
It prompted me to pre-download it the day I got the console. So it allowed me to pre-download it the day I got the console, and then today was the fucking 60 gigabyte patch.
So a lot of reviews have been coming out. Shockingly enough, we did not get a review code. Did you get a? I didn't get one. Did you get one by chance?
Yeah, but I had to pay for it, and I can't access it till tomorrow.
I am also getting it tomorrow from Best Buy. I am venturing out into the wild. Actually, I do the Best Buy drive up where I sit in the car and I just point to the trunk. I'm like, don't get too close. Oh,
you're still brave for venturing out of your musty lair.
My musty lair, yeah. What I do is I have a super soaker that I full of my piss jugs, and if the guy gets too close to the window, I spray him. So he's got to walk around the back, like back of the car. Listen, if you're not carrying your own piss jug as ammunition, you're just not living, okay?
Bro, do you even give him a re-warning before?
Well, I can't re as good as you. My re is just flat and re. Like, you have your re, when you do a re, it actually, like, it reverberates. Yours is like, re. You know what I'm saying? You have, if you were typing out re when you would talk, it'd be like capital E, lowercase e, capital E. Mine would just be all lowercase, like re. So I'm excited for Cyberpunk. It comes out tomorrow. I've been reading the reviews on it. Sitting at a really, really positive Metacritic score of over 90. But
91.
I'm seeing a lot of negativity on bugs and it's broken, but it's okay because it's Cyberpunk. Like, I can't correlate why this game is so well received. Obviously, CD Projekt Red made The Witcher. But man, this is really bizarre to me that this game is getting like a free pass essentially, because some of the stuff I'm reading sounds pretty bad.
Dude, the the gaming industry likes to prop itself up, though, doesn't it? I mean, let's be real for a second. The Witcher 3, while a beautiful, beautiful game, was not a fun video game. I know a lot of people enjoyed it because it was big or whatever, but that's my hot take. That shit was boring.
I agree.
Hopefully, Keanu Reeves hasn't attached himself to a boring game this time around, and this game will be good. But Jeff Grubb, who we know can be trusted to be honest, gave it a 60 on 60 Metacritic score.
He is definitely the outlier. There's a couple outliers in the positive, like 100% game of the year. I'll never play another game again. Yep, exactly. I was incredibly surprised that he gave it such a relatively low score. In game review terms, honestly, a 6 is atrocious. 7 is normal. 8 and 9 and 10 are like what you expect. So a 6 to me on pretty much any scale isn't like half good. It's like this stinks dumpster fire type level of score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because if it sucks, then my console is not as cool as it was when I woke up this morning.
That's right. You lost the cool point. Sorry.
That's right.
You get +2 to hands and -1 to console. Yeah, I tend to not look at reviews too much other than I want to see just overall consensus. I like to read the headlines and then maybe just the top 2 paragraphs, only because I find a lot of reviewers like to focus on very specific set pieces. I mean, how many times, and we're going to talk about Call of Duty a little later in the show, but how many times leading up to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War did we see that opening scene where you drive the RC car into the airplane? Like I could have skipped that level because I've seen it played and reviewed 1,000 times. So
that was a fun level, though.
It was amazing. Yeah, it really was amazing. It was a great game. But yeah, how many times have we seen that? And then you look at that and you go, oh, okay. So these reviewers, either they're told, most likely, hey, look, you can only talk about certain things, or, focus on the first part of the game. But I feel like they kind of ruin it in a sense. And I think that particular scene, since we both played it now, would have been way cooler if you had no idea what was going on. Then you're like, okay, this is a part where I get to pull out the RC car now. Like, so that's where I kind of like shy away from some of the reviews, because I don't want them to tell me too much. Just, do you like it or not? And let's kind of leave it at that.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah, there's really only one video game reviewer whose opinion I actually trust. And that's Viper Magic.
Yes, he's a great guy. When his camera works, and yeah, he's phenomenal. And
I'll like get into a game review and I'm like, this doesn't sound right. And then I send it to you and I'm like, what do you think? And you give me a dissertation, and I usually purchase or don't purchase based on that opinion. Jim knows me.
I do. We get a lot. It was the brief moments when the world was just you and me on a boat, and we were salsa dancing. That, to me, that moment in time encapsulates my friendship with you. I was basically eye level with your belly button, but it was great.
No, come on, you're not that small. Stop.
Well, you're on your tippy toes because you're trying to impress me. I don't know why, but
what? That's not a statement of fact. Slander, I say.
Objection. Yeah, so I think with game reviews in general, what bothers me is, there's a lot of spoiling, just in general, but somehow along the way, and I've been painfully aware of this, and it's not just me, but somehow politics got injected into my beloved video game hobby. And it pisses me off. And
you can't hide anywhere.
You can't. And no matter, anytime someone has an opinion that you don't agree with, it's instantly offensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I saw today on NeoGAF, when I was looking through stuff to talk about tonight, I was just reading through, what's the buzz right now? What's the front page of NeoGAF? Somebody said they were offended by the fact that Call of Duty was selling Gulag merchandise. You can buy like a shirt that says like I survived the gulag or something to that effect. Clearly, it's based on the modern warfare. When you die, you go to the gulag. And this guy basically wrote this post. Was he being a troll or not? Doesn't matter. He basically wrote this post explaining that it was offensive to him because it brought back horrible imagery of some of the atrocities that took place in previous world, typically World War II, but in the past. And it's not something that should be celebrated. And he's very offended. And I'm like, I mean, sure, you could be offended that I'm wearing a skull over here. You could be offended that I'm wearing a skull on my shirt, I guess. But like, come on, like, really? You're gonna get offended over a video game representation of purgatory, essentially? Like, so
Okay.
Everybody's mad about everything now. You can't have fun. You can't enjoy anything. You laughing probably offended somebody just because they don't like that. They don't like the way you laugh. It's offensive.
This is an interesting concept to me because over the course of the past year, you have taught me not to be so sensitive about these things. The conversations that we've had have either dumbed down my level of interest in maintaining a consistent moral standing on something or just made me realize how stupid it is to take a stand on every single little stupid thing. The way you basically explained it to me is, if you're gonna take up a flag or take a stand on a hill or die on a hill, you're going to die on every freaking hill all the time. There has to be a breaking point somewhere. So I understand your frustration. And like you said, I do think it's offensive that you're wearing that skull. I think it's offensive you're wearing that shirt because now I can't see those nips.
Wow.
But no, seriously. It's a video game. That's a cool shirt. Do you know how hard it is to survive the gulag? my success rate in the gulag is like hovering at around 40%.
But it's amazing.
And that's only if you're throwing rocks at the guy for me.
But I'll tell you what, when you get that kill and you're back in the game, those 10 seconds as you parachute down before you get murked again, you're the goddamn king of the world, baby.
Dude, I am all that is man. No, but I see what you're saying, and it's ridiculous. The way that they continue to inject politics into, like, I don't want to mention any specific organizations because I don't want to be branded as a racist, but you're in for a treat with Spider-Man Miles Morales. There's a nice little moment in there, and an entire suit dedicated to it, and murals, and
interesting. Okay.
You're in for a fun treat, and you're gonna see this scene, and you're gonna know what I'm talking about, and you're gonna burst out laughing about how stupid it is.
Okay, I'm excited. So, yeah, and you know what? Honestly, like, I get it. Games are art. They're not necessarily meant to be neutral. They're making, the people who make art are doing it with an intent to express a feeling or a thought or something. I understand that. And I'm okay with taking certain games and putting a grain of salt on them and saying, okay, like, I don't necessarily agree with your opinion on this, but I can enjoy the game for what it is. And, in a nonsense shooter like Call of Duty, yeah, they have their single player story. They can do whatever they want in that space. But, multiplayer doesn't have anything to do with politics. The fact that your background logo is an American flag or a picture of a nuclear bomb going off or whatever, like, it's just a fun little icon. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you endorse nuclear bombs or, whatever. It's just a little icon in the game. So the problem I have, though, is in situations like Cyberpunk, where it's been so secretive for years. And I remember going to E3, and I'm sure I've told similar stories like this on the show before. These behind closed door meetings where only the upper 1% of game journalists are allowed to go and see something that no one else is allowed to see. We got to see the first 45 minutes of Cyberpunk game footage 5 years ago. And I can't tell you everything I saw, but these are my impressions. It creates this air of like, excellence, and they're righteous and holy. And it's like, oh, we got to hang on your every word because, unlike other genres, like a movie, they show you the preview. You want to come see our movie? Well, theaters are dead, but if they weren't, come on in to see the movie. Here's a preview. We're going to release 5 or 6. We're going to hype it up. We're going to have interviews with the actors. We're going to give you behind the scenes, whatever. Video games, it's all this cloak and dagger stuff, and it's this self-fulfilling prophecy of the have and have-nots who make it into something that it's really not supposed to be.
It's a caste system.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is. It really, really is. And it's sad. because there's so many people with better intentions in their hearts, more insight, more experience, better understanding.
Yeah.
There's just so many other people that should have a voice in the community that aren't allowed to have a voice because either they can't or won't be bought. They don't have the platform yet, or they're being suppressed for some reason. And it's because we've established who we want to hear from and we've established who we don't want to hear from, and there's really no room for anyone else until someone goes away or gets canceled or whatever. And if Dr. Disrespect didn't get canceled after everything that happened, I don't think that most people are going to get canceled.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's we end up, we have our few heroes, and those are the heroes, and that's it. And there's no room for new ones. You know, the you won't get the time of day. The number of times I have emailed SteelSeries asking for a review pair of headphones, saying, "I will pay for you. I will pay for these. I will down pay for these in case you don't get them back. I will pay shipping both ways. I'll do whatever you want. I mean, I just want to try them out." Blows my mind. Yet they're willingly handing them out to people who are just like, try to find an honest review on these things. It's hard. It really is hard. So what frustrates me, not about me so much, back to gaming as a whole, is we have these, you have these have and have-nots, these personalities that you start to connect with because you like them, because you like what they're saying, you like the way they play games or whatever. And there, every so often, comes a reviewer who is just out there. And somehow, through connections or working at a job and just, you know, they threw a dart on the board, hey, we need Joe Blow to review the game, whatever. You have these reviewers that come out that are definitely out of their league, or at a minimum have their own agenda to convey. They don't like a certain type of genre game, so they downplay it or whatever. And we are seeing that with Cyberpunk. I sent you that clip today. It's making the news pretty much everywhere right now. And I'm probably going to get her last name wrong, so we'll just call her Callie. She works at GameSpot, and she did a video, about an hour-long podcast with two other colleagues, and she also did a written review. And it is incredibly clear to anybody who has ever picked up a controller that this is the wrong person to review this game.
I agree.
So whether or not, you know, I don't know anything about her. I don't know her. I mean, obviously she's a woman. I don't know her age. I don't know where she lives. I don't really know much of anything else outside of this piece of work. If you go online right now, and I tested this, good old Viper Magic put his name out there. If you go out there and you tweet about this, which I did, and I've since deleted it because I got tired of the negativity I received. Me, and I'm nobody. You go out there and you actively tweet that you think this review sucks, but you explain why. Not like, hey, let's go beat her up. Let's go find out where she lives and TP her house. Let's get her fired. Just like, hey, critically, these are the points I disagree with. Within seconds, the waves of people floating in. You're a racist. You're a sexist. You're picking on her because she's a woman. Look at you. You're just a they don't know I'm single, but you're a white guy who whatever. Like, what does this have to do with the fact that like your critical work sucks? Like, why do we not get to be critical of that? And I am shocked how politicized this has become. Forget the fact that she clearly has no idea what she's talking about with this specific game. That's not even up for discussion anymore. Now it's an issue of man versus woman. It's an issue of preference and nonsense, and it's too much for my hairy head to fathom. It really is.
Yeah, she's trash. And I think that pretty much sums it up. But she's probably got an army of simps that just follow her around, placating her and loving every single thing she does and viewing everything she does with rose-colored glasses. And everyone's willing to take up and champion a cause that is majority popular. So if the majority of people agree with the sentiment, we're just going to go ahead and hop on this train whether we understand the nuances of it or not. So objectively, several times throughout her interview, she said, I did not fully utilize this feature, or I did not explore this feature. And they're core competency features of an RPG. Like, anyone who has a very basic, explain like I'm five understanding of an RPG understands crafting, world exploration, and customization. Okay, those are the three basic tenets of RPGs. And she didn't explore or bother to screw with any of them. And she admits it. And then she goes on to, having not explored any of these features, give a critical review that she knew would receive millions of views and thus impacting the work of hundreds of people over the course of 10 years, and however much drama that has been associated with CD Projekt Red and Crunch and all this other shit. And it's just like, how can you take a work like this, like objectively a beautiful piece of handiwork, no matter what you have to say about it, whether it plays nice or whatever? They took something and they made something special and different, and that's fine.
Right.
You just take this, you play it for an hour, and then you shit out some sort of generic blase fucking review. I don't agree with that, and I don't think that there's a place for that with someone who has that much of a platform.
Yeah, I agree. It's frustrating because these are the only gateways we get into a game. I mean, honestly, the problem is with just in society in general. I think people are very quick to make reactions, very quick to consume information. There's no penalty in waiting a week or two until other people come out. Humans, not these robots who are reviewing these things, obviously, have played it to understand if it's worth getting or not. Your unique situation, obviously, you have it built into your console. But for everybody else, there's no one's forcing you to get this game on launch. And if you're not going to miss out by not playing it on day one. It's just, that's the reality. But unfortunately, leading up to it, and what's going to last the test of time is these reviews. Metacritic not going anywhere. When you Google Metacritic in 5 years and look at an old game, her score, her opinion is going to be rolled into that algorithm. I mean, she is one part of a whole. But unfortunately, they're not gonna listen to the real folks who play games to understand it. They're gonna listen to people like her, and it's frustrating as a game enthusiast or whatever the hell we are. It's frustrating to see that this is the best the industry has to offer, and I know we can do better. I know as an industry, as fans, we can do better. We can be objective in our opinions. And hey, listen, if you're paid to play a game, play the game. It's not that hard. Like, you're getting a pretty good amount of money to sit around and press buttons on a controller. So press all the buttons, see all the things, so at least you can understand it. And if you don't like your job, find a new job.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But
it's very odd.
Ubisoft does something smart. At the beginning of all of their games, they have it written out that this is a work of fiction created by a multitude of different people from diverse backgrounds with different ethnicities, different sexual orientations, preferences, and representations, and religious preferences and beliefs. So, I mean, they throw that catch-all out there to just let you know that, hey, this is a work of fiction. It's not real. It may represent something you don't like or something you do like or don't identify or whatever. Just try to enjoy it for what it is. Shut the fuck up, basically, is what it's saying.
It is.
And play it.
You're right.
Just shut the fuck up and play, man. I don't get what's so hard about that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's been very odd, somehow critical work. And I mean, I'm picking on her specifically because it seems like she's the focal point of this, but I'm sure
she deserves it.
There are probably other reviews that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. The 10 out of 10, it's the best game ever. Well, we know that to be not true based on the amount of bugs and glitches and all that wonderful stuff. But somehow it turns into this championing of cause, and now it's we can't even talk about the review. It's highly politicized. I just thought while you were talking, I just Googled her to see what she's been up to on Twitter. She says an hour ago, I just want to take a second to thank everyone who's been standing up for me and other people who have been harassed. Who's harassing you because no one likes what you wrote? I mean, I'm sure there are idiots doing it. I'm sure there are people who are writing stupid, and sensitive things that are probably illegal. I'm not defending those people. Those people are assholes. But me writing her, tweeting at her, getting comments from her fan base, I know that I wasn't writing anything bad. It was just like this boilerplate response that the wall puts up. These are the things that we're going to say to defend our guy, or gal in this case. It's very odd, and it really does put a sour taste in my mouth in terms of gaming in general, because I look back at this and I say, okay, well, are we just, somehow the press all got together and decided that The Last of Us 2 is the greatest game ever last year. and somehow the press is going to decide that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the greatest game ever this year. That's just the way it is. And I don't know how these things happen organically or not, but now everybody's like circling the wagons. I don't know if Cyberpunk is a 91 because you have reviewers like her. She gave it a 7 out of 10, by the way. But you have reviewers like her who clearly just don't know what's going on. But we can't even talk about that. We just have to celebrate now the fact that somehow through the magic of internet, Cyberpunk is now a 90. And that is to be celebrated. And don't you dare talk bad about it. Don't you dare talk bad about the reviewers. It's now ground truth, and that's the end of the discussion. And let's, it's very weird to me. I really just, I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if we ever get, and...
Win.
What are we? 3, when we go from 3 subscribers to maybe 300,000 or whatever it is, whatever that number is where people start to notice you and sponsor you or whatever, whenever we start to garner some attention, I wonder how long we'll last in the limelight. I really do.
Yeah, it's hard to not get in line. I mean, you see a lot of the political stuff of like, hey, we're voting on party lines because you want to get reelected. Like, this is what you do. And yeah, in reality, back to my stupid example of SteelSeries, for example, I would be brutally honest. If it's amazing, I will tell you it's amazing. If it sucks, I will tell you it sucks. And I do respect the reviewers who go out and buy their own things. And even though they could get a sponsor, even though they could get free stuff, essentially, they prefer to buy it on their own. Because that way it's like, hey, look, I paid for this on my own. I'm totally independent. And that's how my channel's been because no one cares about me. But I do like that type of review in a sense that they don't really have anything to prove. They're just speaking from the heart, but they don't get very far. You look at those reviewers, they're small. They have a cult following of people. They never make it big because no big sponsorship's going to take a chance on them because why would they? We've got our guy eating on the palm of our hand. He's going to get a SteelSeries tattoo on his forehead. Like, he's the guy we want to get these controllers and headphones to. No, not Phil. Phil's going to, he's just saying, I like it, I don't like it, and he's going to move on to other things. He's not going to worship this.
Yeah. Well, my plan is, unless you're a diabolical villain and this channel takes off and you kick me off and keep all the ad revenue for yourself, what I would like to do is if we do ever have a reasonable amount of success, I would like to have an account that you and I could pull things out of and we can just go buy and review for ourselves. And in a way, it would be sponsored because our viewership and YouTube is paying us for ad revenue or whatever you want to say it. But not having a direct influence of a company saying, hey, why don't you, give us a favorable review and compromise your character for this $300 set of headphones.
Right. Would it be one of those things where, like, we get famous and then we break up and then we each do our own thing and then in, 10 years we do, a reunion channel?
I hope not,
like
buddy.
The bands,
I would be lost without you.
The bands, the bands where it's I don't know, one night only. Gene Simmons is coming back, or Kiss reunion. War Never Changes, the return. I don't know.
It's really up to you at this point because you're the only one that knows the login information for this channel. But I would say no. If I can't do this with you, I don't want to do it by myself.
So, moving on from Phil's potential, because all I have to do, if I just press, I don't want to press it. I always joke, I just press the one button and you're gone. It's that easy. It really is that easy. So
your views might go up.
Wow, around the 27-minute mark, it blew up. I don't know what happened. The internet broke. We had so many views. I wanted to talk to you about, briefly, and I did a separate video on this because I was so pissed off about it last night. Halo. So I don't know if you've been tracking this, and this will be kind of brief, but I want to mention it here and get your take on it. You know that Halo Infinite has been having some problems, right?
Really? Tell me more.
So the one of the previous lead designers, he's now back in charge of the project, Joseph Staten. He's returned. He released a blog post yesterday talking about the game and saying that he'll have it ready by fall-ish next year. So we can expect to see it around fall, which I like that it's delayed because it gives Microsoft a chance to make this coveted limited edition console that I've been dying for. So it gives them time to figure out how to paint the plastic. That's all you got to do is paint some goddamn plastic. It's not that hard. You got plenty of time to figure it out. But what pissed me off so much about it was it seemed incredibly patronizing. And he did basically this like virtual roundtable where he had these little interviews set up with like the transcripts of him talking to some of the other people of like, hi, my name's Joe Blow and I'm the audio engineer. And my name's Susie Q and I do, graphics. And they all sit around and talk about what they do as if like, I don't know how games are developed, number one. And number two is like, if I don't understand that like your whole game engine and everything you've made up to date has been ass. Like, do we suddenly think this random guy is going to like fix all the crap? Like, no. And it just drove me bananas that I just feel like as a Halo fan, we constantly get shit on. Constantly. And I know you and I played Halo together. We beat all the games with the exception of ODST, which doesn't count. That's not a Halo game. Come at me. But I'm curious, me telling you this, you probably didn't read it, but does any of this surprise you? Do you care? I was really curious when I was doing my video last night. I was going to hold off for it today, but I felt like you might not be that interested, but I'm curious your thoughts on it.
No, it's annoying. I didn't read it. I wasn't aware of it. That is annoying to hear, though, because I don't need that shit. I don't need to be patronized. You know what I need that guy to do? I need him to go make me a fucking Halo game. That's all I really need him to do. I need him to deliver me a Halo game that is on par with today's current technology and basic expectations. And then I need him to fuck off back into the sunset and start working on another one. That's all I need him to do.
Thank you.
Not condescend to me or talk down to me.
I was really surprised at the tone, and it's hard to tell because obviously it's just words. You don't know the inflection behind them, but yeah, it really came off as something of like, what is your favorite thing, little boy? Like, do you like Halo? It just didn't seem...
You like Master Chief?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to...
No, I fucking hate Master Chief.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was very odd to me. Okay. I kind of thought that was your take, but I wanted to bring it up. Something that I think we can both spend some time on talking about is our thoughts so far on PlayStation 5. We've now had this thing close to a month. Specific, I want to ask you your negative experiences with it. Obviously, we know the games are good or great, depending on what you play and how you play it. But negative so far, what are some of the things that you are seeing that you either feel lied to or just you're not happy about? Performance? What's really pissing you off about PS5?
Very fragile. And it's not fragile in the sense that it breaks all the time or whatever. It's fragile in the sense that I'm constantly hearing horror stories of like these ridiculous, shouldn't be happening things happening. And I'm just like, I'm afraid to look at it. I'm afraid to touch it. Normally I travel with consoles, but now I've got my cable management system and everything's kind of tied together. So when I mess with one console, it kind of messes with the cords on the other. And I'm so worried about like slightly shifting this thing in a way that might break something inside. I haven't traveled with a console in the last like month. So when I'm out on the road, I'm basically video gameless. I also think it's way too fucking loud. When it spools up for too long. I'm afraid to leave it on rest mode. I would like it to be on rest mode so that it could update itself instead of me having to log in and manually check every fucking day. And the user interface seems as though it was designed by an intern who thought that they were there for personal finance training, and really they were making software for a PlayStation.
Wow. Personal finance, Steven, taking some shrapnel there. Damn. We had the fourth subscriber who's like, man, I can't wait to get my MBA. And he's like, oh, bullshit, unsubscribe. Thanks, Phil.
Whatever, we don't need fuck them.
Yeah, those are all valid criticisms, and I agree with every one of them. I am shocked for as long as this thing was under wraps in the development and the hype leading up from PlayStation 4 to 5, I am shocked there are still so many issues that I guess it's the old adage I'm sure you've heard. They said like Albert Einstein didn't know how to tie his shoes. He was so smart. He was so talking about relativity and this inventing the nuke and all this wonderful, maybe not wonderful things, this scientific and discoveries. I guess it depends what side of history you're on. I don't know, but like
USA.
You look at like he couldn't tie his shoes because it was just too simple for him. So simple things like I have Assassin's Creed 4, the PlayStation 4 disc, because the collector edition came with the PlayStation 4 variant. And every time I plug this disc into my PlayStation, it installs Assassin's Creed for PlayStation 4. Every time.
A nice feature.
It's beautiful. So I have it for both. It's patched for both because I got tired of uninstalling it and reinstalling it. So I just let it sit there now. And I don't care. I've given up. You've won. For all time, Assassin's Creed 4 will sit on my console, 0 minutes played for the rest of my life. Because I can't deal with it. Litany of issues. I've never had so many crashes in my console, crashes in Call of Duty, crashes in Demon's Souls. I've seen horror stories of consoles being messed up by external drives and by rest mode and being on wireless mode instead of a wired mode. I'm just shocked that whoever was in quality control or in that design room didn't think of any of these issues. I don't know what they were spending all their time doing, but in the hands of everyday people, wow, like they really missed the mark. And it's hard because I'm a Sony pony, and it's so hard to I can't defend my brand anymore because it sucks. It does. There's really no way around it.
Yeah. And there's like 5,000 posts a day in the various PlayStation pages I belong to. And I can honestly say, with no exaggeration, total honesty, I would say 1 out of every 5 reviews is a unique horror story. Yes. So we're operating at around 20% failure rate for these consoles. Yeah. And that in a situation where there wasn't enough to go around as is, to the point where they're selling for $1,500 in cash on the resale market, that's not great. But what I have heard, to Sony's credit, is they are very aware of this situation and had a good stock of these, a suspiciously large stock of these waiting around as replacements, because they're turning this around. But from the time that they received your defective console, right, you have a new console in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the engineering by brute force. That's what that's called, or accuracy by volume, as we call it. Yes, we're just gonna throw money at the problem until it stops. You are right. I mean, look, there is gonna always be a failure rate on stuff, and there is always gonna be that one guy with this really weird TV, or the one guy who lives in a very humid environment or something, that he's just going to have a bad time. I get it. And that's going to happen. And there are going to be kids, unfortunately, on Christmas Day that lose their shit when they open a PlayStation 5 from Santa and the damn thing doesn't turn on, or it gets stuck in an infinite rest mode because they have... I know. I'm being evil. # child free here, but we don't wish that on anybody. You really don't, because you don't want to be that guy. You don't. And it's sad because we have, these aren't things that are foreign to gaming. Plugging in an external hard drive, putting a console in a rest or standby mode so it patches overnight. These things shouldn't be broken. This doesn't make any sense. These are like as basic as, just the controller should plug into the console and A should jump and B should crouch. Like, this isn't rocket science. Yeah. I wonder if we went too far. Maybe Sony went too far on PlayStation and just, I don't know. They could have honestly, and I will give Xbox credit in this sense. Xbox didn't do a whole lot radically to change their UI from Xbox One to Xbox One, Series X versus One X. And initially I was upset by that. I'm like, what do you mean? I get a new console, but it's the same old boring OS? But you know what? That boring old OS works. And it's never let me down, and it's never crashed. And I hit that Xbox button, and I get the nice little guide on the left, and I can quickly navigate to everything I need to. On PlayStation, I got to press the hold button. Sometimes I got to press and hold the button. Sometimes I got to lightly tap the button. I got to figure out where my menus are. I got to filter through all these advertisements constantly in my face. It sucks. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if if Microsoft got a spy in there and fucked it up at the last minute or what, but there's some, they need a radical overhaul. I really think, I don't think they can patch this out. I think they need to say, you know what? We're sorry. Here's PlayStation 5.5 and here's the new OS. And this is what it's going to be.
Give us $500 more. What the fuck, man? Just give me something that works. Honestly, $540 isn't the end of the world. But for fucking real, oh, well, you're on the phone with customer support. Well, what do you mean you touched the fucking power button? You should know not to touch the power button. Turn it on with the controller, you piece of shit. It's like I touched the power button and the thing fucking exploded and called me a racist. I don't know.
A racist. Yeah, and then they banned me on Twitter. I don't know consoles could ban you on Twitter.
A lot of things happening here.
Yeah, so that's the frustrating thing, because these are all things that should just work, and they don't. And I mean, think of the narrative. Think of a month ago. Think of 2 months ago when we were so excited to get pre-orders. And like, yes, we got one. We're getting it. And then you sitting there pounding apples like a fucking G unit, waiting for the FedEx man or UPS man to bring with those massive hands. You hold like 4 apples in one hand, right? You just eat them like a rotary gun.
Yep.
But
it's like fastening a wheel back to the star pattern.
But you think about the hype you had when you were waiting for your console and it showed up and you poloed me and the guy, I mean, it was awesome, right? And you got it, you turn it on and it was like, yes! And now look at us. Now we're crotchety old miserable people. A month later, I can't count the number of times my console has crashed on me. I can't count that high. And it's depressing because I get it as a launch person. You know, early adopters, we always say early adopters are punished. But this is just next level tomfoolery. It really is.
We bought the wrong console, Jim.
I don't know. See, that's what I mean. Like, and it's funny because, you know, I say this to some of my friends and they're like, well, just go buy an Xbox. And I'm like, yeah, but Xbox doesn't have the DualSense. And Xbox doesn't have Demon's Souls. And Xbox doesn't have Spider-Man. And it's, I got to admit, though, I would imagine people on the Xbox side of the house are like, hey, we only got 3 games, but you know what? They work great.
This console hasn't crashed once.
Yeah, it probably hasn't, because I'll tell you what, my Xbox One X, it never let me down. One time I had some weird Wi-Fi issues, but it never let me down.
Dude, that thing's been a solid baller player for me. Like,
yeah,
the OG Day 1 edition Xbox
the VCR,
One
yeah.
Never failed me once. It still works perfectly to this day as it sits in its deathbed in my closet.
Aw. You let it out and let it breathe a little bit. Take it for a walk.
Okay, no.
So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I'm seeing now PlayStation is starting to roll out patches a little more aggressively. We've gotten 2 patches in the last week. My controller got updated today. So they have to be aware of it. But at the same time, like, shame on you guys. You should do better. We expect better as fans, and we deserve better. And I really do legitimately... I wonder how much worse this is going to get before they turn the corner and figure it out. It took Phil Spencer many years to figure out the crap that Don Matrick did for Xbox. And I don't know if it's Mark Cerny who took the wrong turn or what, but PlayStation really needs to sit down and just think, where do they want to be in a year? Because I don't think it's where they're at right now.
Yeah, they're kind of at the precipice, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
They can still fix this. They can fix it.
Yeah.
They just have to want to.
Yeah, maybe they don't care. They got your money. Buy another one. We'll make more. Don't worry.
Yeah. If you can't get one from a store, someone will sell you one for $1,500.
So one of the games that I think is a highlight game of Call of Duty is Call of Duty. Sorry, I was focusing on that massive hand of yours. This episode, by the way, is going to be entitled Phil's Massive Hand. I don't know if I want to do hand or hands. I might just hand. I might just be one hand. I don't know. I've decided yet. Beautiful. It's Call of Duty. I think that's a showcase game for the DualSense controller. We've talked about this before. The just sheer fun of that controller and the vibration and everything. And I think Call of Duty is, if you're going to teach, I mean, Astro has got some cute moments, but I think Call of Duty is the game you want people to play, to try out that controller.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can feel footsteps through that thing.
It feels good, man.
I can actually feel footsteps through this thing.
So you finally, through my hypeness, not me. You would have done it on your own. I don't want to take credit. I think you just wanted to know what it was about. And you were going to anyway, but you did finally beat the single player campaign last week. And to be as spoiler free as possible, I mean, there might be some light spoilers because, I mean, whatever, but without ruining every single possible ending and thought, just can you give me your, what, now that it's done, it's in the rearview mirror, you've beat the game, what did you think?
Surprisingly fantastic. Second best, in my opinion, second best Call of Duty single player campaign mode in the history of the franchise. And I've been playing since Call of Duty 1. So I've played every Call of Duty that's ever come out. And I can speak with a certain level of certainty that the way the guns felt was fantastic. The way that they developed characters was unique. The way that they laid out these missions and the sort of how the missions interact with each other, because there's things that happen in one that tie back into some other stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a game that only took me 20 hours to beat. It didn't feel like that. It felt like it took a lot more of my time and attention than it did in a really good way. It held my attention every moment that I was playing it. I never got bored. In fact, one day I played it so long I had to take a break and just go do something else for a little while because I was just burnt out. But then I was like, I can't wait to get back and see what happens next. And things start to click in your mind. And it's just a very unique, very, very unique game. I hope it gets really high marks on Metacritic. I know that we shouldn't care what Metacritic says, but it's the way that games seem to be validated. And I feel like the people, there's a lot of names that scroll on that bad boy when you're done with it. And all those people contributed to it, and they all did a really good job.
There were a lot of low reviews. I want to say it's one of the lower Call of Duty games. I want to say it's low 70s. Primarily on the lack of and this does vary over time, but the multiplayer offering specifically is very, very barren compared to what we saw in Modern Warfare at launch. Now, it's not fair to compare Call of Duty Black Ops Day 1 to Modern Warfare with a year of content. That's not fair to do. But launch, the amount of maps, the amount of modes, that even with zombies, the reviewers in general felt there wasn't a lot there, and that's why it got some pretty big hits.
Infinity Ward always has the better multiplayer, and Treyarch always has the more interesting story mode. That's just universally how it is, except for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Infinity Ward did a really good job with that story mode. I am frustrated with the multiplayer. I'm very frustrated with it.
Yeah. I real quick on the single player. Did you do the 2 bonus missions? Did you find all the clues to do both of those? Did you solve the clues on your own, or did you need help, or did you just curious?
I did not completely solve all the clues. I got most of them to the point where I felt comfortable taking some guesses. In the one scenario where that's a spoiler. No, I didn't gather all the clues. I did complete every mission.
Okay. So what's really surprised me about this game was that there was a alarming amount of non-combat, which I liked. I really did. Walking around, doing some stealth stuff, doing some semi-investigative, I don't know. But the 2 puzzles that you had to solve, because I did find all the evidence, they were challenging. And I'm not saying it took me 6 hours, but I sat there and it took me a good 20 minutes on each one. And I'm like, wait, what's because I'm like, oh, I know what the code is. You have to enter a PIN number or something. And I'm like, oh, this is it. And it was error. And I'm like, that's not right. Type it in again. And I'm like, okay, what am I missing here? And going back and not looking at anything and just trying to figure it out, for a Call of Duty game to make me sit there, and I was like, I called my wife over, who's puzzle master. I'm like, hey, come here, look at this with me. They were challenging. It was fun. And I was like, you got to remind yourself, this is a Call of Duty game. Typically, you press forward and shoot. That's pretty much a Call of Duty game.
The name and number one, I did do.
Okay.
And you're right. That was very interesting.
It was fun.
It was very interesting.
It was fun. I liked it. Multiplayer, I agree with you. I love the multiplayer. I don't know what it is about the multiplayer, but it's really resonated with me in terms of how good I am at it. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to let it like cloud my vision or my score per se, or my review of it. I would just say that to me, the multiplayer definitely lacking. They finally did. I don't know if you logged in. I logged in a little bit last night. They've started to add charms that aren't just the stupid little stick people. They are starting to add in regular charms again. There's a couple free ones you get, like a Coke can, and I don't remember the other one. But it's happening. We are getting a battle pass, which will add more skins and character models and such, but extremely barren to start, especially when you know that most people are coming off Modern Warfare into this. It seems like a major oversight on their part.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm having trouble getting into the game. Like, I want to play games with you, but I don't want to play that. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm just not very good at it. I was always either even with you, 2 or 3 kills behind you, or 2 or 3 kills ahead of you in Modern Warfare. It's not that way for this one. You're consistently going 30 plus with less than 10 kills as your KDR, and I'm lucky to go even in most matches. I don't know what it is. I haven't changed the way I played. I'm sticking with assault rifles, which I always play with. So I'm doing everything that I've always done and been successful with in the past. I just can't get into a groove, and it's frustrating. But I don't know. I don't want to play. I don't want to blame it on the game. I don't know what's going on, and I'm frustrated with it, and I've kind of stopped playing it for the moment.
I think the biggest problem with the game, and I think where a lot of people struggle, is that, previous Modern Warfares were purely dedicated servers. You would always connect to a server that was hosted by Activision somewhere in the world. And for the most part, we had pretty good connection issues. I mean, every so often, I know we'd play a couple of games and use like, hey, my bullets seem like they're lagging, or, I pressed the grenade button and my character threw it like 2 seconds after I pressed it, or I shot through a person or whatever. It happens. It does happen. And I'm not talking about just being frustrated like everybody's cheating. Oh, this game sucks. But I mean, just legitimate technical issues. That does happen from time to time. It's a multiplayer service. It's expected. But for the sheer amount of time that we played that game together, and I played it a lot before you started playing it with me, for the sheer amount of time you and I played that game together, 99% of the time, it worked pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's not that way for this one.
No,
I'm getting problems every other match.
And for whatever reason, this game supports both the regular traditional connect to the Activision server and this cheaper peer-to-peer networking issue. And when you get those hitches and those network spikes, most likely you are connected to or with somebody who's getting a lower connection, and it's bogging the game down. And I have played games that have major frame rate issues, major lag spike issues, and I look at the ping and there's one guy who's clearly disconnected and his ping is skyrocketing through the roof, and it brings the game experience down. And I hate that, and I don't know why, for as much money as this company makes, they can't just make pure dedicated servers, but for whatever reason they didn't, and the multiplayer is suffering radically for it.
Yeah, it's not like people are buying this for the multiplayer or anything.
Right, they're buying it for yeah, exactly. So.
I don't know, man. I don't want to make excuses because I've genuinely noticed a decline in my performance. I feel like, and for every 10 kills I don't get, I want to say 4 of them are because of performance issues with the game. The other 6 are on me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I think it has a lot to do with the bullet velocity mechanic. I don't
like it either. I don't like that mechanic.
I always play with assault rifles, and assault rifles are not good for that. So I'm losing these engagements with people who have smaller guns, who shouldn't be equally matched at the distance we're engaging. I should be winning those purely based on my reaction time, which is typically phenomenal. It's because I'm typically traditionally a sniper. I'm very good at snapping into down the sights and shooting. But I don't know, man. I'm losing a lot of engagements, and it's frustrating to the point where I don't want to play it.
There is a significant amount of run and gun in that game, more so than others. And I noticed it even last night when I was playing. I typically play with SMGs. I maxed out the Milano. I'm, I think, 2 levels away from maxing out the MP5. And just on a whim, I decided to switch over to the XM4. And my KDR tanked. I did the exact... That's the
gun I play with.
Yeah, it tanked horribly, turning corners, shooting into people, clearly had a beat on them to the point that I'm pretty good to where I know when someone's dead, I'm already on to the next person. That's how I'm like shooting. I'm counting in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm already, and I'm shooting somebody, and I move my crosshair. I'm like, wait, the first guy's not dead, and that happened a lot. Losing just one-on-one gunfights, T-boning somebody, and them turning and still killing me at close range. I was like, whoa. And then going right back in the next round to an MP5 and calling in my first ever AP-130 airstrike because I got like 58 kills in a match, just wrecking everybody. OG just, killing, OG Viper Magic style, just wrecking it. It was fun. And clearly in one match, I didn't get consistently better or worse. I mean, I was pissed. I probably teed off a little harder because I was mad at the previous round, but unacceptable levels of gun balancing and tuning. And I still love it and I still play it, but I know it can be better.
Yeah. And I gotta stop being a baby, and I gotta get back into it because we haven't played in a few nights. We should probably try to play tonight if you're up for it. And I'll suck it up, but as much as I don't want to, I'm gonna have to switch over to SMGs, which I don't like. I want to play with the fucking gun that I want to fucking play with. I don't want to play with the MP5.
Don't play with the shotgun. That will break your soul. I've never. Yeah. Only in Call of Duty can you hit somebody point blank with a shotgun. Point blank, and they're like, "Oh, you shot at me," and then they just flick you on the nose and you die.
Yeah. You fucking peasant. That's my typical setup too. I've got a sniper rifle and a shotgun.
Gotta dump that shotgun in.
No, not in this game.
No, that shotgun there's something broken with that shotgun so hard because a guy ran past me and I shot him like in the back, probably a foot away. And he turned around and I had to melee him to finish him off because I couldn't shoot fast enough. I took the gun and I was like swinging like a baseball bat.
Yeah. And to the 6-year-olds who don't know anything about shooting a real gun, when you shoot someone point blank with a shotgun, they have a 6-inch diameter hole in them. Straight through their body.
It should be a one-shot kill. A shotgun should be a rewarding one-shot kill because it's slow but powerful. That should be the trade-off. That is what the mechanic of a shotgun is.
And you have to get within 10 feet for it to hit anything.
It sucks. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely lukewarm on the multiplayer. I still really enjoy it. I want it to be better. It should be better. But, I still have fun playing it. And I think a lot of it attributes to how good the DualSense feels. And when you're teeing off with that MP5 and it's just rattling and you're just feeling it, it's a good feeling, man. I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's something about it. I think if I was playing on an Xbox or on PC, maybe my interest wouldn't be where it is now.
I can't wait. I hope we get some legitimate maps that aren't just fucking 15 different shooting lanes. I hope we get some actual large maps that are some places where you can bunker down and be a sniper. I know no one likes a sniper. No one likes a camper. I'm not a traditional sniper camper. I'll shoot 2 people and then I move. And that's my strategy, and that's how I've been successful with it. But I can't even get my fucking sights down my scope and I'm fucking dead. There's too much going on. Playing, unless you're got an aimbot or you're playing with a mouse and keyboard, it's impossible to have fun sniping in this game, which sucks because I can't tell you how awesome that DualSense feels when I rack around in that LW3 Tundra and I pull that trigger. It feels amazing, and I can sense death as soon as I do it. And
I smell it.
half a second later across the map, someo's head is exploded.
It's great.
It's just
it's fun.
Wave. Yes.
You just got to focus on that. And the times you're going, you're in those ruts. You just got to get that one shot to just pep you up. And it's like, that's right. Somewhere, most likely in the continental United States, somebody just got murked, and it's me who did it. And it's like, you're done playing. You essentially just said no. Last thing, and then we'll wrap up the show for the day. And this was the email I alluded to earlier. I just want to get your hot take on it. You know who Fei Lao is from The Division, correct?
Yep.
The email I got today from The Division, headline, Hunt Fei Lao. Apparently, in the latest expansion of The Division 2, Fei Lao has gone rogue and must be hunted down and eliminated as a division agent, which I thought was really cool because you spend so much time with her in the Division 1 that I thought it was cool that you actually might get to shoot her other eye out in the Division 2.
Bro, I relish the opportunity to shoot her 90 times.
So you're ready. You're like, yeah, she's a traitor. It's like, no, I'm not. No, we better take her out. So, Phil, it's that time. Once again, sir, we've hit the hour mark. We've laughed. We've cried. We've talked about your hands. We've talked about Cyberpunk. We've talked about Xbox, PlayStation, and all the wonderful things. This is the moment where you, sir, get to shine and tell us goodbye. So my question to you is, are you ready?
No, but fine. Oh my God, it's happening again. Oh man, much like I never prepare for these, war also never changes.